Community Connections, brought to you by Family's Choice Electrical Repair. Good afternoon and welcome to Community Connections, brought to you by Family's Choice Electrical Repair. My name is Matt Wilkerson. This is my partner, Greg Steen. Greg, today, I don't know a resident in Marion County, whether you are 70 and have 8 children, grandchildren, or you have no children at all. This affects every one of us. Our guest today, Sarah James, she's with the Marion County School Board in District 5. First things first, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a business owner, you are also a school board member. You're busy. We thank you for taking the time to just be with us.
So today, is this clone 3, clone 4? Which clone version is this?
You know, my husband calls it productive. Busy is an unproductive word, so we call it productive in our house.
Busy versus productive.
And I just give a lot of energy to a very few amount of things, and then I let the rest of it go.
There you
so
go.
I prioritize being here with you guys today.
Well,
Awesome.
Excited to share the good word.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for doing that. Like I say, I know you're busy, but this is a topic that affects just about every resident in Marion County.
It does.
So to start off, what kind of growth does the school system experience, and how is the school system addressing it?
Well, we've added a lot of friends to Marion County Public Schools.
Weekly.
Yeah. So the CEP recently released, I think, 259 people are moving to Marion County every day. Now that they're not all under the age of 18, but there are a lot of them. And so we have increased our enrollment about 9% over the last 10 years. So we're pushing almost 46,000 students throughout Marion County Public Schools, which is significant. So when you look at how we're addressing that growth, it costs money. Everything costs money. So there was a very large lull throughout Marion County as we went through the recession. And so we're now stepping in a little late to the game, but you know, I have to be responsible for what I have been on the board for. And since I've been on the board, we've been making massive action to address these needs. We're building 2 new schools. We're adding wings. We're doing all of the things to be able to address all of these new students coming to Marion County, but we have more students today than we've ever had before.
Can I ask you a quick question that is off that, just for those that are watching, District 5, can you explain to the viewers where that is?
Sure. The easiest way to say is District 5 is north of 35th Street. The north end of town. I live in Anthony. So in Marion County, we don't have district-based voting. So every Marion County resident votes for every school board member. Right. And that's the same for county commission as well. But we represent our live-in district. So I live in District 5 in Anthony. So the easiest way to say would be north of 35th Street. It's not exactly pure, but if you were to take 35th Street and run it east and west, that would be pretty much District 5. I visit every school, though. I visit every single school every year. My goal is twice a year because ultimately I'm 1/5 of a vote for the entire Marion County Public Schools. Right. So it doesn't really matter where I live except for to say that I'm a resident of District 5 and I represent that area with regard to the seat on the school board.
I remember one thing that you were saying when you were running a few years back. I remember when we were in a networking meeting. You mentioned that one of the reasons that you're running is you have children of your own and it matters to you.
Yeah.
My
son.
With me.
My son was 10 days old when I filed to run for school board. So I will have students in the school system for 16 more years. So it is valuable to me to ensure that I set it up for success. We have term limits. The DeSantis passed term limits 2 years ago, the year I was elected. So we can only be in office for 8 years, which I really don't have a problem with. As a Republican, I think term limits are a healthy part of our system. So I will be able to spend the next 2 years at least, and then if I choose to run again, 4 more years, trying to set the system up for success, not just for my kids, selfishly, but for the other 46,000+ that will be here.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
So as far as like Marion County and just every individual, whether they have people and kids in school or if they don't have kids in school, how can the community reach out and actually support the Marion County Public School System?
So the thing that we struggle with most throughout Marion County Public Schools is attendance. If all of our students would come to school, getting them the education they need would be so much easier. So we have pockets of our county that really struggle with attendance. And for some of those students, it is access to proper transportation. So the school bus comes, and if you miss your bus, you have no other way to get to school because your family doesn't have a vehicle. And so we will obviously transport you, but if for whatever reason you miss the bus, that opportunity for school that day is gone. People will keep their kids home for bad weather days or non-bad weather days. So there's attendance is the hardest barrier for us. Parent involvement is also key.
Well, it starts at home.
When you look at schools that are the most successful, they have the most parent involvement. If I were to write another dissertation, it would be that parent involvement literally will determine your child's success in a K-12 education.
Definitely can see that.
And so getting our parents to be as involved as they can for their space, because we acknowledging that every family's dynamic is different and some people are working 2 and 3 jobs, but having parents involved as they can be and making sure your child gets to school on every single day that they're feeling well to come to school is the most important part. And so if our families can continue to be engaged in what we're doing throughout Marion County Public Schools, that would be a huge next step for us.
I definitely think that'll be, I don't want to say an easy task, but as far as like just not taking days off that just randomly wake up, and just, I'm not going to do it. Save those for emergency days where it is something for attendance. But
every day is very valuable.
right.
Just like she said, it starts at home.
Right.
Yep.
It starts at home.
And so we just have to continue as a community to strengthen what that looks like.
Right.
What does our home look like, and how are we supporting our families to be successful?
Right.
Oftentimes I find parents are just doing the best that they know. And so continuing to provide opportunities for parents to learn more and families to learn more and strengthen them and support them in what they need to close the gap so they can make sure their student is the most successful student.
Good deal. Good deal. What is the Pennies for Play, your nonprofit playground initiative?
So I, Sarah James, as an individual in this community, I own a preschool and I have a doctorate in education. And so as I became a school board member and started spending more and more time throughout Marion County Public Schools, it occurred to me that there were a lot of schools that didn't have proper play equipment for students to play on. Yes, so we have pretty much about 50% of our schools do not have at least 2 playgrounds, fixed playgrounds.
Wow.
So I found the desire in my free time to address this need. And so I'm working with community members. We've created Pennies for Play, which is a fundraising initiative. Our fiscal agent is the Public Ed Foundation. And we are working together to raise funds to close this gap. So Marion County Public Schools facility budget theoretically could cover it, but as we've already said, there's a lot of other facility needs and there's a lot of other growth needs. And playgrounds just are not on the top of the list, if we're being honest, because it's not make or break. Although I would argue it's very important.
Very important.
And so I took it upon myself to create this initiative, and I'm working with community partners, and we're raising money to make it happen and put playgrounds, 2 fixed playground structures is the base starting ground on every campus.
Okay, so an additional question, because we're firing off things and it's just making me think about stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's just a conversation.
I'm
Just
telling you,
about talking.
here's the thing. Although I'm only one person in this community, I've never heard of this. So my question to you is, just to help get more visibility out there, can at some point we connect off of this podcast and create a video
Totally.
and blast it out 18
Absolutely.
different directions?
100%. We'd love it.
I don't know whether I live under a rock, but I've never
So
heard of it.
Pennies for Play has been something that I've been working on quietly for the last year. And in the last month or so, we've really started trying to kick this off. So we had to work through some of the logistics behind Sarah as a school board member, Sarah as an individual citizen.
Sure.
And so just working through some of those logistics. And now we are to the point, the Public Ed Foundation has been incredibly supportive of helping with flyers and a landing site. All the fundraising goes through the Public Ed Foundation. And it is, we're finally working on getting full steam ahead. So absolutely, I'd love the
So are you,
opportunity to
are you
share
looking
more.
for business owners to support this, individuals? So
Yeah.
if someone's watching this said, you know what, I really think that there should be more playgrounds and I want to help. how would they contact, or who would they contact? Or get a
Sure.
question?
So pennies for play with a 4 instead of the number 4 instead of FOR at gmail.com is the email. But if you go to the Public Ed Foundation website through Marion County Public Schools, it'll also take you to a landing page for fundraising and
Okay,
some
we
more
can also put the
information
link
as
in
well.
the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yes,
okay.
we can.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
very cool.
So that's kind of in my free time something I'm trying to do is close the gap, raise some money. The hospital district has made a significant contribution and has made a commitment to support us as we continue to try and make this happen for all the kiddos.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so the next question, this one I'm going to add a little bit on there.
So
So,
here we go.
so everyone always talks about how much they love driving in Ocala and how the traffic is always smooth and everything.
It is if you live in District 5. I love
That's a
North
good
Marion
plug. I like
County.
that.
So as far as 46,000 students getting to school every day,
Yeah.
all these buses on the road and stuff like that, how is the Marion County Public School addressing just the continuous needs of
Yeah.
buses, the maintenance, and just all this transportation need?
Absolutely. So we transport over 50% of our students to school every day. From pre-K age 3, because we start providing a compulsory education for ESE students at age 3, through we have students age 22 who are in extended school time at Hillcrest because they're ESE, right?
Right.
They have exceptionalities. And so we transport a wide array all across, or we're the sides of Rhode Island. I try and paint the picture sometimes for people. There are kiddos who live as far east, as deep into the forest as you can imagine,
Right.
but north and go to North Marion. So they have to get all the
The way across
way
the county.
basically to the center of the county, right?
Right.
And then you go
Oh,
as
wow.
far west as you can possibly think in Marion County, north, and they also travel all the way in to North Marion. So if you were to put it in perspective, we transport a lot of kids. And so when you're in town, you see lots of schools they seem pretty close together because the population is more dense.
Right.
But the farther you get out of the center of City of Ocala and move
Yes.
into Greater Marion County, we have smaller schools that are serving less population, and we have to get students from however far away to that area. So
sense.
we did a big shift in Marion County and went to a standardized bell schedule for next school year. And so you may have heard rumblings about it, but essentially we went to a triple-tiered bell schedule to help address transportation. So when you look at a bus driver, the goal would be that a bus driver transports one group of students, then goes and transports another group of students, and then in a perfect world goes and transports a third group of students. So elementary, middle, high, 3 separate start times. That same bus driver can go pick up the same neighborhood of kids for 3 different groups. Now, we haven't been able to do that for really, really, if ever, in Marion County because we haven't had standardized start times. So starting next year, all of elementary is going to start at 7:35. All of middle school is going to start at 8:30, and all of high school is going to start at 9:20 or 9:30.
Okay.
So everyone is essentially an hour apart, and everyone has the same start time. There's only 3 schools that were not addressed with that start time, which is N.H. Jones, Madison Street, and Fordham, which have no buses. There's no transportation to those schools, and so they are not
Right.
affected by the start times. The stop times are a little bit slightly different, plus or minus 15 minutes, depending on if we put the school on a 7-period day, which just makes it a slightly longer instructional day. But with how many bus drivers we have right now, we should be able next year to get everyone to school on time. And there's a narrative that we have really poor transportation and getting kids to school, but actually our on-time arrival is higher than it has ever been. It was 87% last week.
Wow.
So while the goal is 100,
Right.
we want every single student to get to school on
Sure.
time. We are doing better than we ever have before with seemingly less resources. Staffing, if you talk to any business owner, public or private, staffing is an issue.
Oh, boy.
So the triple-tiered starts and stops should get us to a place where we're going to be able to be more effective with getting kids to school on time.
Okay, so let's throw another monkey wrench in the operation. You got the 3-tier system coming up. What's your thought? You may or may not be able to comment on this. What's your thought on the year-round school?
Love it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. So Wyoming Park is piloting. So we put in to the state to become a pilot for year-round school. We actually put in for 2 schools, but only were awarded Wyoming Park. So Wyoming Park is shifting to a year-round schedule next year. They will start and stop at the same time, but they will have a slightly shifted schedule. And it's really a modified year-round schedule. It's not year-round. And when you think year-round, you think they go all year.
Right.
It's very much a modified schedule. So they will start in July, but everyone is still going to finish school by Memorial Day. So Marion County has established, Marion County has decided in ourselves that we finish school on Memorial Day. That's just been this like philosophical thing that we have all decided in Marion County. So school finishes in Marion County before Memorial Day. So these year-round kiddos are going to start in July. I believe the 3rd Monday in July is when they will start. We just board approved the calendar, so it's a public document. And then they basically have a 2-week break in October. They still have the week at Thanksgiving that everyone else has, the 2 weeks at Christmas that everyone else has, and then their spring break is 2 weeks instead of 1 week, and then they finish at Memorial Day.
Wow.
So it's modified.
Same days. Day count.
Everyone goes to school 180 days.
Oh, that's
Yeah. So year round, it's a language thing, right?
It's just a different time schedule, but still
Correct.
180 days.
Everyone goes to school 180 days. The teachers work 196.
Okay, so I hear year round. I'm like, man, they're going to school like 200,
Nope.
220 days
So
a year.
it's just about shortening the breaks so that the learning loss is hopefully shortened.
Right.
I like that.
Selfishly, as a parent, I think it's a wonderful
that
calendar, and I would not be upset with it to go district-wide. So
sounds
it's
very
right now
interesting.
it's a pilot at Wyoming Park. We'll apply again probably to extend the pilot to the feeder, because when you're looking at, well, all of my elementary age kids go to this school, but then my middle school kids go here, right? So as a
right.
parent, it would be better if both the elementary and the middle were on the same.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I would see us doing that. But, in 5 years from now, if it's going really well and the data is supporting that the students are successful, after people get over the change, because
Right.
change is hard, I think most families would really enjoy this calendar.
From just
So.
hearing about it, I mean,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Also
And what
looking
else
forward
is there to
see
do
the
in
results.
Florida when it's so hot? Then just go to school, right? Like, let's just go to school. The
I
biggest
could think of
hiccup
a
will
few
be
things.
the biggest
Water, yeah.
the biggest hiccup will be hurricane season, which is always an issue for Marion
right,
County,
true.
right? So we're going to be disrupted mostly because of sheltering and less because of actual storms than anything
Right,
else.
sheltering,
So
I forgot.
yes.
They use the shelters.
and the schools are shelters.
Right.
We're
What-
the only shelters.
What is your best part about your role as a school board member?
So as a teacher, I loved the kids are the best part. The adults, it's like, take it or leave it. But I love the kids. The kids bring so much joy. And so now, instead of having one class or one school when I was an administrator, now I get to go visit all of the schools.
Oh, wow.
And I
That
find
would be
responsibility in all of the kids. All 46, almost 46,000 of them, I'm responsible for. And it brings me so much joy to know that as I continue to make decisions, I stay very hyper-focused on what is best for kids and what is best for our schools. Because the money should follow the student always.
Yep.
And so support staff and central office staff are always going to be of value, but the money needs to follow the student. And so the kids are what brings me joy.
Man, so that's a big responsibility to have. Was it 20% vote on the future?
Yes.
On the future.
Yep.
So
So,
you-
and we're a board that doesn't always agree on everything.
Sure, of course.
We don't have 5-0 votes all of the time.
Right.
I will say that this is a very productive board. I'm proud to serve on a board that's been very productive, and we've gotten a lot accomplished already and a lot in the hopper, and we're really going in the right direction.
So
The
you're
data is
literally
supporting.
molding our future. That's awesome.
Yeah, it brings a lot of joy, for
Awesome.
sure.
Good
Awesome.
deal. So, how can the county, the city, the school board, what do you feel it would be the best way just to all collaborate, get together, and work together to accomplish the greater good?
A campfire, marshmallows, kumbaya.
Done.
Oh.
Done. Let's do it.
So we had our joint workshop last week. The county. So we, after many years of not having an updated version, we adopted an updated interlocal agreement about a year ago, and that has put into place some necessity for conversation. And so one piece of that is that we have an annual workshop now. The city,
awesome.
the county, actually all of the municipalities. So the Bellevue, City of Ocala, Marion County commissioners, the school board, and then the town of Reddick didn't participate in this last one because they've kind of had a shift in their board. And so it has created a great opportunity for us to all talk about what's going on and how we can serve each other. And so one thing that I have enjoyed is this role has allowed me opportunity to just have very transparent and honest conversations about what my needs are for my schools, and talking with the county or the city about how they could support our needs and how we could support them. So we have a school in the county, Ocala Springs, it's in my district, and they're off 36th. I think it's 44th is the road it's on, but it's a 2-lane road, and the car line takes up dang near half the length of the road to 36th Ave. And so Carl Zalek and I have had conversations. He connected me with staff. We're being problem solvers, and we're working together to address, because all of us are broke, right? We're the richest poor people I've ever met, all of us, all of the public works, and the school board is not alone, right? And so no one has extra money to solve any problems unless it becomes a priority, and then we always have the money.
Right.
And so how do we work together to try and solve the problems without breaking the bank? And this role has allowed me to go have lunch and create an opportunity where we have conversation, because conversations can solve like the world's problems. We just have to sit down and have a conversation. Yes. And so I do think that I continue to work really hard to build quality relationships with county commissioners, city council, and just talk about what our needs are and then what their needs are and how we can support them. So continued collaborative conversation is going to be the goal always, to make sure we stay on the same page.
So I do have a question about that. So whose responsibility would it be, or working together, or something like that? So like with the schools that are on a 2-lane road, and then there's literally miles of cars, would that be DOT? Would that be state?
Well, it depends on who owns the road.
Okay.
Ultimately, whose responsibility it was, the school board should have designed the school correctly to have a car line that was on our own property, so that stacking would be done accordingly.
Right.
I can't pay the price for the sins of the people before me.
Will
right.
that be in the future school builds?
Our two new elementary schools have over a mile of stacking on our own property. So car lines backing out into major thoroughfares or any roadway at all should be non-existent. Now, when school's dismissed, when 1,000 people leave a place, there's always going to be a bit of a traffic, right?
Sure.
And so we'll continue to work together to solve how we can move traffic along. But with regard to cars stacking, like you see on 36th Ave outside for Ward Highlands, those kinds of things are no longer going to be able to happen on our new sites because we're going to have appropriate stacking.
Okay.
Now, for all of the sins of our past,
for the many years.
The school board theoretically doesn't own the roadway, so it's not our responsibility.
Right.
If we're being a good team player, we should have all tried to solve the problem together. Right. So with regards to Ocala Springs, I made the county aware. They immediately brought in fill dirt to fill and address parts of the side of the roadway that were in not good condition because of the wear and tear. But then we're working with facilities department to move a few trees and rework some bus patterns and car patterns to solve problems. And so we're working together to solve the problem that hopefully will not require half a mile of roadway, because that's very expensive, and no one really has the money for that, right? Especially for just a car line, right? When we look across, and I'm not a county commissioner, but when you look across the county at our roads, the last thing we want to spend money on is a turn lane for a school.
Exactly.
That's only used 180 days a year in the afternoon, because nobody sits in it in the morning. They come and go in the morning. So just trying to maximize how we address the issue. But the school system is going to plan appropriately. As long as I'm on the board, I can assure you that we're going to plan appropriately to make sure that we're addressing the issues ourselves so that it doesn't become somebody else's issue.
Yeah, 'cause that is multifold. You're using a lot of real estate, millions of dollars to, the 180 days, and like I say, it's only a couple times, the morning and evening. So that is it's a fine line between everyone's dance.
Well, when you have other major issues to address,
exactly.
right? I wouldn't want the taxpayer dollars to go towards a turn lane.
If we were just flowing with money, it'd be
right.
different.
If the cup runneth over, but the cup is not runneth over.
Right.
Okay, so here's the last question for you, burning question. 250 to 300 people a week are moving in here. Half of those are probably children. They're going to hit these public school systems. funding sources to build new schools. You've got a lot of schools that are 30 to 50 years or older that need rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Where's the money coming from?
So the good Lord himself. No.
Okay.
It raineth down.
Yes.
So we spent basically. As soon as I got on the board, we were already in the middle of completing a survey for impact fees to look at what's growth is occurring. So Banesh, our consultant, did that, and we used that data to determine an impact fee rate, which has been approved by the County Commission and will begin collection July 1st.
Okay.
Impact fees have not been collected in over 10 years throughout Marion County Public Schools. And so this is going to be a shift for our community and the people who are building homes. Although I will say, while the people who are building the homes are the most upset, they do pass that fee on to the consumer.
Sure.
And so
Sure.
realistically, the person purchasing the home is the one that's going to be most responsible for paying for it. However, I digress. The impact fees will start collection July 1st. We will be able to use that money we created a quadrant system essentially to be able for collection areas, because you don't want to just say a home built in Fort McCoy can only be used at Fort McCoy School,
Right,
which may or
yeah.
may not, right?
Sure.
So we created a collection zone, and my attorney will say I'm using the wrong term for that. But we are going to start collecting July 1st. Everything collected in an area after July 1st will be able to be used to address the growth that we're doing there. And then we have voted to ask for a half-penny sales tax that will be on the November ballot. And so the chamber is taking over that and working on that campaign with the community. And so when you look at impact fees, impact fee money is going to be used to address the areas where growth is occurring. We will have taken out by the end of the summer a $330 million loan to address all of the stuff that we've already approved. So the 2 new elementary schools, a new high school in the Southwest Quadrant, we're replacing Lakeware Middle School, a new gym at Osceola Middle School, and then wings at Liberty, Horizon, Hammett Bowen, and Marion Oaks.
Wow.
So then, boop, $330 million is gone.
Yes.
So then we will, some of that impact fee money will go to address that because it's work we haven't started yet. And then the sales tax money would be used to address failing infrastructure. So schools like Spar Elementary, which are just crumbling, looking at building new schools in the Bellevue area to address that failing infrastructure. Denella Middle and High, which are also very old. If you look across our district, you can really just, drop a pin and
Yeah.
land on something that's not incredibly new. So,
Lacking the technology and
Sure.
well,
Not
and
that it
we've
costs-
done a good job of, all of our classrooms have a flat panel. So
Okay.
we've
Wow.
invested a lot of money into our classrooms, but the bathrooms and the electrical and it's all just crumbling.
and the efficiency on the air conditioning.
Correct.
I mean,
oh yes, the
everything,
roofs,
yeah.
all of it.
Listen, you have 46,000 students now. You blink your eyes, you'll have 50,000
Oh, yeah.
students.
Correct.
Plus, it takes money to equip these schools to handle
And
this
it
stuff.
takes time. So the new
Yes.
schools that we're building, I think, are slightly under 45 million, the new elementary schools. We have line itemed 133 million for the new high school. Realistically, we're probably going to be closer to 150 because our goal is, in an effort to be financially responsible, it costs money to make money, and we should be building our high school so that people will rent out our facility and use it so that we can generate revenue. So when you go to like the Villages Charter High School, I don't know if you guys have been able to go visit that school, but it is immaculately beautiful. But they built their entire athletic facility so that it can lockstep get rented all of the time when school's not in session. So sports leagues,
Oh wow.
high school state championships in the football.
Revenue
they have
sources.
They have 8. They have Big Sun and all of the soccer. It's all happening, and they're renting their resources because as a business owner, that's what I would do,
Yeah, most definitely.
right?
I love it.
If my facility only 180 days of 365
it.
has students on it, wouldn't I be thinking about ways I could create additional revenue in the over 50% of the year when I'm not using my facility for students facing? And so it's going to cost a little bit more money to make those kinds of financial investments, but the return will be there over time.
It's a seed.
And so it all costs a lot of money. Building schools is incredibly expensive, and we're having to build some of these schools to code for storm evacuations and shelters, which is more expensive.
A lot more expensive.
And we are the only municipality or public works organization in our county that is building shelters. So The city doesn't build shelters. The county doesn't build shelters. The school board is the sole person who's responsible for that.
So with that being a shelter, is the money is still all the school board's responsibility, or is
Yes, sir.
Really? Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to get political here, but maybe I will. So the school board is funding all those shelters, and then there's no other entities that are chipping in.
And we have to close school for all of our schools when we have to open a shelter. So when you look at who, and we could digress. So, but when you look at who comes to Marion County for sheltering, we
Right.
shelter some of our own residents, but
Sure.
more often than not, people are coming in from the coast, depending on which
Sure.
way the storm is
Oh,
coming
right.
in. So a lot of the times, we're not sheltering our own residents as much as we are sheltering people who travel either north until they realize they can't drive anymore and they come in because they're coming up from South
Right.
Florida, or they
And
come
they're out
in
of
from the
gas.
coast, or they just have realized the storm is getting too bad and they need to
Right.
find shelter. And so,
Wow.
so the school board is the only shelter right now. And so it takes a lot of planning,
Sure.
but it's something that we will continue to work on as we go back to a few questions
an
ago and we work
interesting
together.
point.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this. We can't ask every question that every viewer wants to know. Give us your contact information if someone has a question to ask you directly. Email address?
Yeah, sarah.james@marion.k12.fl.us, and it's on the landing page for the website as well for Marion
Okay.
County Public Schools. If you click on school board, you can find all of our information. And my district cell is 246-3515. So they can reach out. I work for everyone, so there's no one I won't meet with. There's no one I won't talk to because I represent every taxpayer in Marion County.
She is an open book. I
Yeah.
love it.
I always see you busy out, making sure everything's taken care of. Appreciate that.
I love it.
Well, I think that if you're involved, it provides you opportunity to see what's going on. And when
Right.
you see what's going on, then you can be very informed and have constructive conversations about what's going well and what is an improvement still. So that's what I
Thank
try
you
and
for
do.
taking the time to come here. I can
definitely.
just like I said when I started, this impacts every Marion County resident, whether you have a child or not. So it's important information. So
Absolutely.
appreciate
And
that.
as busy as your
Yes.
schedule is, it does mean a lot to us for you being here today. and helping
Oh,
the county.
I absolutely love it. Anytime.
All right,
Love
awesome.
it, love it. Dr. Sarah James, she is with District 5, Marion County School Board member, and we thank you for watching. This is Community Connections, once again brought to you by Family's Choice Electrical Repair. We'll see you next time.